Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are learning a language or multiple languages like me, you know how challenging it can be to take effective notes. A quick disclaimer is that taking notes or not is totally up to you. Some people learn better by reviewing with flashcards or notes, and some people are better off without. It's entirely up to you. But if you're a person who loves to take notes and don't know how or where to start, this video is for you. In this video, I would like to share some note-taking techniques that I use while learning languages. I admit that I also struggled with language note-taking at first, like should I have separate notebooks for grammar, vocabulary, how do I organize the information, etc. But my advice is don't think too much, just pick up a pen or a pencil and start writing. Firstly, I'll tell you how many notebooks I use for language learning. It's just one. I prefer to use a single notebook for each language because I'm currently learning multiple languages. This helps me keep all my notes in one place and avoids the hassle of carrying multiple notebooks. But still, it depends on your personal preference. Even though I may be learning from several books at one time, I'll just continue writing in the same notebook. So a single page in my notebook can contain my notes from two different textbooks I'm using. If you can keep your notes separated and organized within the same notebook, this approach can be practical. Otherwise, using separate notebooks might be more effective. If you are learning only one language, using separate books will be a better option, like one for vocabulary, another one for grammar rules, and another one for doing exercises. The very first tip would be just note down keywords. In other words, be selective. You don't need to write down all the paragraphs or dialogues from the lessons. I also did this when I started learning languages. As you can see in my old video, I note everything down. However, over time, I realized it's not as effective as writing down only keywords. The words I wrote down didn't stick in my head, and I felt overwhelmed whenever I opened my book. So, I decided to use this technique, and it works well for retaining information. For example, when I'm taking notes on a specific topic, first I highlight the common phrases and daily used vocabulary and write them down. Typically, most textbooks come with their own vocabulary lists. In this case, I make a point of jotting down any new words I come across, as well as those I'm unfamiliar with that aren't included in the list. This helps me expand my vocabulary beyond what is provided in the textbook. After that, I make my own example sentences for each new word or grammar point. You can use this method for any language you are learning. In this way, you can maintain your interest in learning and memorize better. The second tip will be focus more on clarity rather than aesthetic. It's enough if your notes are readable, neat, and clear. It's interesting how my note-taking style changes over time. I tend to prefer using more colors at the beginner stage, which helps me differentiate between different sections, and also because my notes tend to be more varied, and I enjoy the idea of slowly switching between different colors for different needs. But it's still up to you if you prefer an aesthetic one. Currently, I prefer writing with a sharp pen, especially a black one, because it makes my work look neater and clearer. I use only 2 or 3 colors, black for phrases and words, red for important notes or keywords, and blue or other colors for translations. Occasionally, I use a pencil because it's convenient and allows for easy corrections. It's essential to separate headings, subheadings, and lists. Make headings bigger and clearer by underlining or bolding them. Use different styles for subheadings and employ bullets or number lists to distinguish major points from minor ones. I also make a habit of reviewing the learned words and phrases once before I start learning new lessons. I do this by simply writing them down on my tablet or just moving my hand on the table, not repeating what I've written, but just writing randomly and freely. Sometimes I just read them aloud. This allows me to save time and at the same time to keep track of all the lessons I've learned. Moving on to that is make it fun. As I like reading quotes, I search for some codes in the language I'm learning and write down my favorite ones whenever I finish learning the lessons. You can also see this in this video. If you are a fan of sketching, you can draw cute characters or whatever you like while taking notes. We remember things better and focus more when we are doing what we are interested in, right? The last tip will be whatever works, it works. There's no one right way to take notes. If you prefer writing down on paper, go for it. If you like digital tools, you can take notes with Excel and Google Docs, Notability and GoodNotes for iPad, and Killer Notes and Noteshell for the tablets. You can even try different note-taking methods like the Cornell method, which is a structured note-taking method that involves dividing your page into two sections. For example, if you are learning Chinese, you could use the Cornell method to write down your vocabulary words and pinyin in the left-hand column and your English translations in the right-hand column. You could also use the bottom section for grammar rules and example sentences. This method is particularly useful for language learning as it encourages active engagement with the material and helps to enhance comprehension and retention. The next is the outline method, which involves creating a hierarchy of information. You begin with a main topic, followed by subtopics and supporting details. This method is useful for organizing complex information and highlighting important points. In language learning, the outline method can be used to organize grammar rules. And mapping method, which creates visual representations to connect vocabulary and identify patterns. This method enhances retention and active engagement. And the last is the charting method, which uses tables and charts to organize vocabulary and grammar rules, making it easier to compare and contrast concepts. Each learner's journey is unique, and note-taking is one of the most effective ways to enhance your language learning. By choosing the right note-taking method and adapting it to suit your specific language learning needs, you can improve your comprehension and retention, make review and practice easier, and encourage active learning. Keep in mind that effective note-taking requires practice and patience. With time, you will find the method that works best for you and see the benefits in your language learning journey. You can share your note-taking methods in the comment section as well, so that I can learn from you too. Good luck with your language learning journey.